Alright, you guys are going to have to bear with me while I get some camera stuff ordered. But today we're going to be going over tension and the jog wheel adjustment. This right here is a CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. The Nexus 1 and the standard 2000 do also have this external adjustment. For those who don't know, what it does is basically that if you're spinning your jog wheel, it determines how quickly the jog wheel slows or brakes. So we'll get a midpoint here just so you can see the effect. A little bit slower and then really slow. So the settings go from light to heavy. But I know a lot of people out there are running either different models or some of the XDJs, and those models actually do not have this. So what can you do in that scenario? So this right here is the top half of a 1000 MK2. This is actually a unit that someone else is picking up off of me. It is actually getting the play and cue button replaced. I'll be doing another tutorial on that, and I actually just picked up a 3D printer so that I can hopefully make some mods to fix that, because this little flimsy piece of plastic ends up breaking off. Kind of lame, but it's like a $50 part for something that's very frequently used. But anyways, so you've got your standard 1000 MK2, but unfortunately there is no jog wheel tension adjustment. So what you can do, which isn't really known to a lot of people, is that internally, and I'll be doing another disassembly video on this, if you do open them up, not very hard, 4 screws, there is actually a tension adjustment on the inside of most models. I believe it goes all the way back to like the CDJ 400s. So there's actually this small plastic piece here. And that, actually, I'll remove it here. You're going to need a small screwdriver to pull that off. Don't lose that screw. Has this plastic hexagonal. Is it hexagon? Alright, anyways. But it's labeled out 1 through 4 on the negative side, and then 1 through 3 on the positive side, but then there's also a 0 point, and that's usually where they ship from, I believe. But what's actually going on here is that there's a plastic pin on this other side, or cup, that it varies in height. And so what that varying height does is it preloads this spring in here, determining the tension that's being applied to the spring that when you're spinning this jog wheel. So if we were to set it to different levels, so for example, if we were to set it, say, +3, and there's a little alignment pin on there, and the screw threads right into the top of that shaft that it spins on, that will increase the tension on it, making it more difficult, or we'll say it will break quicker in terms of spinning it back. A little bit slower. Okay, so now if we come back to the other side again, and we'll set it back to the negative side of the spectrum. So again, looking at it, so 3 being the highest and then -4 being the lowest. We'll get that on there and set that to -4. A little bit lighter of a spin. So the reason that you'd want to do this is some people, when you're actually beat matching your tracks, prefer it lighter. I know a lot of people prefer it lighter, but some guys don't like their gear spun back like that, so they may actually prefer to set it heavier. The only reason that I would suggest doing this in a club scenario, again, is to keep better control over your gear, because you're not having people wind it out super fast and really wearing out the bearings, because there are plastic bearings at each one of these points that they do wear out, and I have actually replaced a fair amount of them. And again, unfortunately, some of these Pioneer parts are a little bit more expensive than I feel they really should be. But the only thing to keep in mind here is that if you're doing it for your home setup, set it to your liking, and then you'll pretty much just have to leave it that way, because otherwise, if you want to change it, you got to open it up each time. Other scenarios that you can use this, though, is that if these bearings do end up wearing out, because they are these little plastic roller guys, insert picture here, is that you have a 4-deck setup. You're a cool guy, super sweet, whatever, and then you have that one deck that for some odd reason it just spins a little bit slower. it gives you an option to actually go in there, and if you don't have the money or the time necessarily or the know-how to replace these individual bearing pieces, that you can actually set your tension to kind of counteract that. So just a cool little feature there for you guys to know. But we'll get some disassembly videos up there for you, and hopefully this helps you out.